Hey, what's up everybody? Welcome back to another Roblox song reaction. Today we have one from the game Fighting. This one is composed by Boggio and Key After Key. I wanted to hear more of Key After Key after the last experience I had, plus I wanted something a little bit longer, so this one requested by Sucrose Snowstorm was like 4 minutes long, which is like perfect for a single video, so the best option, basically. And to be completely honest, I mostly wanted to hear some more Key After Key because they came into my comment section on the last video and were very open about where they lack in experience and where they wanted to improve. And you've got to love it when an artist is self-aware and wants to actively improve themselves. So I gave my opinions on where I think they could learn a little bit more to figure out some extra stuff and details to like refine some of their craft. But it's not like I'm a pro either, which I also did clarify. So whether or not Key actually takes any of that to heart is kind of up to Key, but that's totally fine because I just want to hear more of other stuff they've done. So a completely different game with a completely different sound, I assume, is a great place to start. So let's see what this one's all about, shall we? Let's go. Ooh, oh. Okay. I also don't know if I should call them boggio or boggio. I want to say boggio makes sense, but it's probably boggio given the spelling. Point aside. I really like the vibe of this one, actually. Got a lot of funk and blues elements in it. I'm not sure how much of this is Key, since I know it is a collaboration of some sort. Really well written, though. Very well written. I'm a stickler for jazz. I'm a stickler for blues. And I love this, like, city funk sound. This is really, really nice. Honestly, I really love the sound font here. I liked it for the last songs too, but this flavor, this sound with this sound font, like this genre, perfect blend, to be honest. It's very nostalgic for me. Ooh. Really utilizing those blues scales, like, fully. Having a lot of fun with throwing in basically every possible option that would fit. That is what solos are, after all. Honestly, really loving that that bass tone too. Just resonant enough, but it has enough of that slap to it.
Get those robbers out of the bank, dead or alive.
Roblox voice acting. A+ work. Kind of fun having gun sync in here though. At least I assume that's what it is. It could just be bit crushed drums. But I'm assuming it's going for the gun sync vibe. Great energy shift here too for this second half. Very nice. That was better than the other two songs combined as far as the technicalities of it. This is a really, really well done track. So again, I could not tell you what part of this is boggio, what part of this is key after key, but this is a better song in basically every way than the last two I heard. That's not to say the other two were bad. They were very well done, all things considered, but this one had a lot more self-awareness to how it was produced. All of the elements of the song itself, the way it was written, all of the fills it was going for, all of the runs it utilized, all of the scales it was just going nuts on. It was clear that they knew what they were doing with this one a lot more than the other ones, just in genre and in feel. The mixing was also a little bit better. I could hear every element. It was very clear. None of it was like muddy like the other ones were. So maybe that was boggio, or maybe Key just leans better to this genre and understanding how to mix it better. Sometimes that just happens. Some producers are better with some genres than others. It's going to happen, you know? Sometimes things just click, and sometimes you have to try a little bit harder to get a good mix. And with this one, it feels a lot more seamless all around. Everything was a lot more layered clearly in the mix. I could definitely pick out every single individual element while I was listening. And also, like I said earlier, I'm kind of a stickler for jazz and funk and blues. These are genres that formed me as a musician, so I've spent a lot of time listening to them, playing to them, and enjoying the genres as a whole. And this definitely goes for like this city jazz, city funk sort of sound, where it's very much jazz influenced. It very much has the blues backbone to it with all of the runs and all of the scales it was using. Those kind of originate in blues, move to jazz, and then funk is pretty much just like the second generation down from that. So they're all very familiar to each other when it comes to the technicalities of what to play and where, what chords you use, what key you play in, and it's all that is very similar because you're going to root back from basically one common genre, and for a lot of genres that is blues. You can take rock back to blues, you can take basically anything back to blues and rhythm and blues, all very much very similar. But that's also what makes these genres fun. The fact that you can be so flexible with them, do new interesting things with them, play around with them a little bit, and not feel like you're going to fuck something up. So it allows that freedom to expand in the creative mind. And some people would say it's just scales, but those people don't understand the musicality of playing these scales. It's not just slapping a bunch of things onto a keyboard in order and calling it good. You basically have to be athletically aware of these scales. You have to be able to go up and down them, repeat some notes, go into other things, sometimes throwing in a little bit of a blues, like just half step down to like add a little bit of edge to it, a very blues approach there, a blue note, if you will. That's literally what it's called. And it's just, you know, these things that make these genres very unique, and if you get them wrong, it is extremely obvious. They are hard to get right, but this did it. This did it very well. I am actually very surprised, honestly. I was expecting when I started to hear the blues and jazz stuff in here, I was like, okay, maybe they're not going to be able to do this as well. Maybe they're going to mess something up, but I am easily still underestimating the quality of the musicians in this space. Obviously, I've already heard key after key, and I was already fairly surprised by their work before. But for this one, I'm even more impressed because they did an even better job with this. And again, not sure how much of it was boggio and how much of it was key after key, but either way, a very, very good work all around. I would say that the only thing that was kind of missing out on this one as far as the mixing goes, even though I did earlier compliment it, is kind of the same thing that happened with the last ones, where everything was very centered. There was a little bit more panning, I think, in this one, or it was just the fact that they were all individual instruments, so they used different chunks of the frequency range, like I mentioned in the last video, and that can be as simple as that. You can literally just put different instruments on different sounds, and it'll open up a chunk of that frequency range that doesn't therefore sound as busy because something else is handling it in a slightly adjusted position, like right to the left or right of it. So that might be a little bit of just coincidence there, but it was still very central mix-wise. It felt broader, but it was still very neutral. But for this genre, honestly, that's kind of more expected because you're used to hearing jazz and blues in tight spaces, recorded in tight locations, because usually they're done live, at least traditionally. So you're like, okay, well, you're expecting everything to be done basically through a couple of microphones, all mixed down to one track, whereas modern stuff is a lot more broad and wide, but you don't need to go quite that hard. And honestly, for this sort of thing and this sort of sound, it almost sounds nostalgic, which was also also part of my commentary during the video, where this just has that sound to it. A part of that is the sound font used, the instruments used. It's got a little bit of a retro vibe. I would call it more like a 90s-esque, maybe early 2000s sound. I could almost hear this in a game like Jet Set Radio. Maybe not like a main theme of that game, but definitely something that might just be in the background of one of the shops or something, you know? I think the visual is also helping with that a little bit because of the colors it utilized. It's a very similar color palette, so that might be playing to the bias there, but that's also getting a little bit too deep into it. Either way though, I love this song. This is easily the best song I've heard from Key. I don't know how many more I'm gonna hear. I'm sure there's plenty more. I've got things that people want me to get to from basically every game you could figure. I already have some videos out for my members only so far. Those will be out in a month publicly if you want to see those, but those are both from Block Tales, and I've got another one to do yet from that exact same queue, so those members videos will be there. If you want to watch them early, you can always join the memberships, but you can also wait the month if you'd rather just watch them for free. But I'll digress there. This was a really good song, and I really want to hear more stuff from Roblox, so keep sending me stuff. Keep voting on stuff in the comments. If you see one that you like, give that a like, because I usually prioritize the ones with the most likes. It makes it easier for me to find the ones people really want to hear me get to. But otherwise, if you just want to follow me and support me for more videos coming in the future, you know how to do all that, and I will see you all in the next video. Goodbye!